Kingdom Come Deliverance 2 is one of the best games I have ever played. On the other hand, Last of Us Part 2 is one of the worst, or at least it used to be. After going back and replaying it, I find it's not as bad as I remember it. I still don't believe it's a good game by any means, but revisiting it 5 years later has allowed me to view it with less bitterness than I originally had with my first experience playing the game. By the end of the game, I may not be left with the same bitterness as I was 5 years ago, but I am still left with the same disappointment. I'm left wondering what the game could have been instead of what it is. I'm also wondering how, in one scene, Kingdom Come Deliverance 2 managed to accomplish what The Last of Us Part 2 set out to do and couldn't in an entire game. Tell a proper revenge story with a satisfying conclusion. So, I'm going to explain why. Before I start, I want to mention something. While I'm talking about these games, I'm talking about them from the perspective of someone who has played the first installment before the second, and in the case of Tilu, someone who has played both games day one. The reason I mention this is because I understand a lot of people may have been introduced to Tilu through the show or the sequel, and because of that, some of my arguments may sound nonsensical or like a whole lot of hoopla.
Sounds like a lot of...
Hoopla!
It sounds like a lot of...
Hoopla!
Sounds like a...
Hoopla!
So, just keep in mind the mindset I'm approaching the story with. But anyways, back to the breakdown. Let's start this off by taking a look at the moments that catapult our protagonists onto their journeys for revenge. In Tilu Part 2, we, along with Ellie, witness Joel's execution after he was brutally tortured.
Please don't shoot. Joel, please get up. No!
We see Abby. The camera puts emphasis on her, showing us who we'll be chasing. In KCD1, we get something similar. As Scouts is being attacked, Henry makes his way to the castle for safety as his father told him, but Henry being Henry, can't leave his parents behind. He runs back to the village to see his father fending off humans, taking them out one by one. Then Violence rides past, cuts him down, and stares at Henry while he executes his mother and father. Same as with Abby, we get a good look at Von Ollitz. So, with these two scenes, I want to compare the emotional impact each one has, since I feel it's a major factor in these stories' success or lack thereof. For Tilu, Joel's death is impactful, far more than Henry's parents. When Henry's parents are murdered in front of him, you understand why he wants vengeance. You feel bad for him. You understand how much it hurts for him to lose them in such a brutal fashion. What you don't feel is the exact emotions he's feeling. With Joel's death, it's not just Ellie who is being hurt, it's you as well. He's the protagonist of the first game. You spent hours with him. You traveled across the country, protecting Ellie, killing hunters and infected at every turn. You saw him lose his daughter. You saw how that broke him. Then you see how through Ellie he is able to be rebuilt, become human again, and become capable of love. Video games have this special ability to connect you to characters unlike any other medium. It doesn't matter if it's a movie, TV show, or book, nothing comes close to video games. And Tilu Part 1 is one of the best games to do it. With that being said, the attachment to Joel is a strong one, and when he's killed, we don't just understand Ellie's hate and motivation, we have the same hate and want the exact same thing. To find Abby and take our vengeance. This is an impactful setup, and when I first played the game it had the intended effect on me. But in hindsight, the way the story gets to Joel's death is pretty silly. I guess it's plausible that Abby could have survived a snowstorm and a horde of infected, and I guess it's plausible that she could have accidentally stumbled upon Joel and Tommy specifically, and I guess it's plausible that she could have found out Joel was Joel because his name was Joel and he had a brother named Tommy, and I guess it's plausible that she shot him in the leg with a shotgun solely because of that. I guess. Look, I understand how people could suspend the disbelief for this scene to work for them, but for me, it doesn't. I just think these things are very coincidental and fall into Abby's lap too perfectly, to the point where I find it contrived, in my personal opinion. So, after an entire game of build-up, 2 games worth of build-up in the case of KCD, we get to the Confrontation. Tilu technically has 2, but we'll be talking about the beach scene since that's the climax of the story. In KCD 2, we traverse through the Progress camp looking for Sam, but we make a trip into Von Ollitz's room first. Instead of describing the scene, I'm just going to play it, since I feel no amount of words can do the scene justice and convey how awesome it is. Between the acting, music, and atmosphere, it's a pure masterpiece.
Where... Where have you been? Pour me some wine. You didn't come here to pour me wine. You came here to kill me. Nice work getting here. But you went to a lot of trouble for nothing, boy. I'll be dead by morning anyway. That drunken bastard got me good. Who are you?
Henry. From Skalitz.
From Skalitz. Aren't you that boy who ran away from us? So those were your...
My parents.
Your father fought like a lion. And I see you're your father's son. You've done him proud.
You remember them?
Oh, yeah. I remember everyone I killed. That's not an everyday thing. Don't you? War is a nasty business. I only did what I had to do. Just like Zizka. Like the Dry Devil. Sigismund. Wenceslas. And you.
I'm not like you. Or Sigismund.
Ah, come now. Sigismund maybe went a bit too far. But all he was trying to do was to bring some order into the mess that idle drunkard Wenceslas made.
Bring order by slaughtering innocent people.
And are you sure you didn't kill someone's father or a mother? But I don't want to preach you any sermons here. You came here with a purpose. I won't hold you back. Take your revenge. Huh? I don't want to sit here all night, dying slowly like a stuck pig.
Are you afraid?
Every day when we pray, we say to God, "Thy kingdom come." And now I stand at his kingdom's gate at last. At a time like that, you do not feel fear.
What do you feel?
Regret. I feel regret at leaving my family. But I am consoled that I did the best for them. And Sigismund will take care of them when he becomes king.
You have a family.
I have a beautiful wife. 2 daughters. Many good friends. And a few wonderful horses. You know that. Under all the armor and finery, you will only ever find a man. I am like everyone else. It is just you who sees me as the devil.
You're talking about family. But you murdered mine.
Yes. And for that I apologize to you. And to God. I fought for what I believed in.
You believed you'd restore order by killing people.
What do you believe in? Huh? In the king who got us into this? Huh? In a whoremonger? A layabout and a drunk who had his wife torn apart by dogs?
If you're talking about Joanna of Bavaria, everyone knows it was an accident. Poor woman trod on a dog in the night, and it took fright and bitter.
You know a lot for a blacksmith's son. But tell me, why did Wenceslas go hunting instead of going to the funeral? With the same dog? I suppose he loved her like he loves this country, huh? But you're right about one thing. Sigismund is not perfect either. Neither brother takes after their father. The days of the beloved Emperor Charles are long gone. Wenceslas is not interested in being king. And Sigismund tries to win Bohemians' love by spilling their blood. While traitors like Jobst profit.
Jobst is trying to mend the damage Sigismund and his lackeys have done.
I might almost believe that, if Jobst himself had not been Sigismund's lackey just yesterday. If Jobst is trying to do anything, it is to profit from this situation.
Nonsense.
How can you know what will be in his interest tomorrow? Huh? Or the day after tomorrow? Do not show your back to allies like him too often, Henry of Skalitz.
I've heard enough already. It's time.
That is true. So, help me stand. Why are you looking at me like that? I do not want to die in a chair, like some cripple. Let me depart with dignity. Wait! At least pour me some more wine. Let me get drunk one last time. And now go. Or are you waiting for me to call the gods, huh? Farewell, Henry of Skeleton.
We'll talk about that scene in a bit, but first let's cover Tilu. After massacring her way through the Rattlers' camp, Ellie makes her way to the beach where Abby is held. Ellie finds her strung up on a wooden beam and decides to cut her down. Abby does the same for Lev, and they make their way to the boats. Ellie follows. They reach the boats. Abby takes one, Ellie takes the other. Ellie puts her gear in the boat and gets a flashback of Joel due to all the blood on her. And, for the sake of having an overdramatic, unnecessary boss fight, Ellie decides to not grab the MP5 out of her backpack, but instead walks over to Abby, pulls her to the ground, and starts a knife fight with her. Why they decided this made any sense, I have no clue. So, in their fight, Abby and Ellie go back and forth. Ellie loses her knife, an extremely iconic part of her character. Then Abby bites Ellie's fingers off, one of the worst things you could take from a lesbian. Ellie gets the upper hand in the fight and is in the process of drowning Abby. Ellie holds her under the water and has her seconds away from death. Ellie is seconds away from accomplishing her goal, seconds away from achieving what we've been setting out to do since the entire game started, what the entire game has been building up to, and she stops drowning her. Because, flashbacks have the capability of preventing murder, as they do with everyone else. Obviously. Abby gets up, leaves in the boat, and Ellie is left on the beach doing her best impression of the Black Ops cover art. And that's the way The Last of Us Part 2 handled its confrontation. So, why is the way KCD 2 handles its confrontation so much better than The Last of Us Part 2?
Let's talk about that.
So, there are three main reasons why I feel one scene works and not the other. They are discovery, player agency, and character attachment. Number 1, discovery. So what do I mean by discovery? When I say this, it means that the two characters have discovered something about each other. I don't know if you could tell that by the title at all, just thought I'd clear that up for you. With me being such a nice guy and all. Anyways, KCD 2 nails discovery perfectly. In KCD's confrontation scene, Henry expects to find a monster in Von Olitz. He expects him to be remorseless and apathetic, but he finds the opposite. He finds a dying man, reflecting on his life, on the choices he's made. The consequence of one of those choices has made its way to him in the form of Henry. When confronted, Von Olitz doesn't have any animosity or disrespect for Henry. He even remembers him. He remembers what he took from him. He expresses admiration for his father. He respects that he fought hard to protect his loved ones, and he sees that Henry has done the same and has the same respect for him. Henry is taken aback. He's shocked to learn Von Olitz would care to remember, but he does. I've seen some people interpret this scene as Von Olitz trying to manipulate Henry, but I don't really see it that way. In my interpretation, I believe Von Olitz truly feels guilty for what he's done. I think he's ashamed of his actions, and to absolve himself of guilt, he justifies what he's done by framing it as doing what needs to be done while knowing deep down that isn't true. He then draws a comparison between Henry and himself. And you know what? It's valid. But how valid depends on you. I'm kind of jumping into the player agency bit here a little early, but it's kind of hard to explain this without doing that. Von Olitz is right about Henry being the same as him, especially if you play Henry like a murdering psychopath.
I feel quite hungry!
If you burn Semyon, he's right. If you burn Malashov, he's right. At that point, Henry is the same as Von Olitz. He's a soldier fighting for what he believes in, and he's willing to do what he thinks is necessary in order to complete the mission. How many fathers and mothers were killed in those raids? How many families were torn apart? And all of that because of Henry's choice. And the key word there is choice, because this is mostly reliant on Henry being evil. But even if we assume he's not, Von Olitz still has a point to an extent. Let's use my Henry for example. I played him honorably. I didn't burn Semyon or Malashov. I didn't kill anyone in cold blood, and I even avoided stealing for a time. And though I didn't kill anyone's mother, how many fathers did I kill? Think about it. How many of Sigismund's men had families, had children, and then Henry comes along and, does his thing? While there is an argument there, I do believe there is a difference between fathers who choose to go to war and between fathers who lead innocent lives in peaceful villages. But even disregarding that, they're still similar. They're both soldiers fighting for what they believe in. The only difference is, one decides to uphold his honor, and the other disregards it. And in this conversation between the two, Henry not only discovers something about Von Olitz, but about himself as well. Von Olitz is no longer a monster. He's a man. And while he's not a good man, and most definitely is a bad one, he's still just a man nonetheless. A man fighting for what he believes in. I don't know if I conveyed my point properly, but this is what I'm trying to emphasize. Henry and Von Olitz discover things about each other. They discover that they're human, that they're not too dissimilar, and now there's some common ground between them. Does this mean that Von Olitz should have done the things he's done? No. Is he redeemed or absolved with this conversation? No. It's just to allow Henry and the player to see that Von Olitz is not a complete monster, and it aids in making the abandonment of revenge make sense. The fact these two get to talk to each other and have a full debate is what makes this scene so good and why it works. On the other hand, The Last of Us Part 2 has nothing like this. Ellie and Abby have 2 confrontations and both are fights. They don't discover anything about each other, they learn nothing, and to one another they're still just a monster. With the power of hindsight and replayability, we can see how similar the characters are and analyze the duality between them, but Abby and Ellie don't have that luxury. It has to be done in real time. There's so many ways they could have done this, but I want to share my idea. No matter how much Ellie and Abby hate each other, near the end of the game they can't deny they have a common enemy, the WLF. So how cool would it be if both got captured and imprisoned by the WLF and are stuck in cells across from each other? It'd be the perfect opportunity for them to voice their grievances with one another without them immediately going into kill mode, because they can't. They'd be equals. It'd allow them to discuss why they did what they did, why this quest for vengeance means so much to them, and through a conversation like this, they would see they're alike. They would discover that they're essentially the same person. I feel this would make Ellie reconsider a bit, and if you throw more elements on top of it, maybe you can get to a place where Ellie abandoning revenge actually makes sense. Maybe you have the WLF throw Lev in the cell with Ellie, have Abby freak out and express concern for Lev, and maybe that could add some doubt about what Ellie wants to do next. You could have them all work together to escape and reunite Lev with Abby. The fact they all work together proves they don't have to fight, but I still think they would regardless. Which, in this fanfic of mine, I think it's fine for them to still do the fist fight. Honestly, it'd make a lot more sense because maybe they couldn't get their weapons back when escaping versus actively not using a weapon completely available for you to use. So, when Ellie has an opportunity to kill Abby after a tough battle with her, all of these factors I mentioned would play a role in her decision because she discovered things about Abby that influenced her feelings about taking her revenge upon her. If I don't have a choice in Abby's fate, doing this, having Ellie kill Abby at the beach, or stay at the farm instead of going to Santa Barbara is what I prefer instead of the ending we got. But what if we did have a choice? Which is where we head into number 2, player agency. Yeah, I haven't really mentioned it yet, but when I'm comparing KCD to Tlu, I'm using my game as the example since I spared Von Olitz. But that's the beauty of this game, you don't have to do that. This entire video could be pointless to you if you choose to kill Von Olitz. And you know what? That's awesome. I love all my hours of hard work, writing a script, editing, listening back to my annoying voice being for nothing. I'm kidding. Kind of. Jokes aside though, the idea for this video sparked because I wanted to know why Henry sparing Von Olitz made sense and Ellie sparing Abby didn't. And one reason why is because you make the decision. You don't have to spare Von Olitz if you don't feel it's the right choice, and killing him makes just as much sense as not. That's also what makes it so powerful, because you're not just witnessing the protagonist perform the action, you're partaking in it, and the character's feelings during and after are a direct reflection of yours. And therein lies the problem with Tlu Part 2. It requires you to feel a particular way about its characters and story, while KCD 2 doesn't. KCD allows you to have your own emotions, make your own decisions based on them, and let you tell the story the way you want. Tlu Part 2 is a one-track train, and with a story so divisive, I don't believe it's a good idea to force the audience to feel a particular way to be able to enjoy it. If you don't end up liking Abby, the story fails, and a lot of people don't like Abby even after playing half the game as her. Rightly so. One half of the fan base loves this game and the other half hates it, and it's entirely Naughty Dog's fault. The Last of Us Part 2 would have benefited so much from player choice. I don't understand why Naughty Dog was so set on giving us a strict linear story. They changed their game and level design philosophy for this game in Uncharted 4, so I don't know why they couldn't do the same for their story philosophy. They thought it was better to divide half the fan base with a controversial story rather than just give us a couple of button prompts apparently. It could have been something as simple as press X to stay at the farm, press circle to go to Santa Barbara, kill Abby, spare Abby, or both options. I think that would have helped the story a lot and prevented the fan base from splitting in half. Now lastly, number 3, character attachment. In all honesty, the idea for the game is really cool. Having two protagonists who are direct antagonists to each other and switching between the two characters is an awesome idea for a video game. I don't think it was a bad idea to tell this story, but I do think it was a bad idea to tell this story through Joel and Ellie. The reason I and a lot of other players can't like and get attached to Abby is because we're already attached to Joel and Ellie, and she becomes an established antagonist of them right at the beginning of the game. They instill this intentional hate for Abby. It was their goal to make you hate her.
And for this version of the scene, it was important that we were in Ellie's head, that you don't get to hear this conversation that's happening around her, but this was just about the ringing of the ears of pure hatred and anger that she's experiencing right now.
But it's like early on, we wanted you to feel betrayed and disgusted and angry with Abby.
They let those feelings boil for half the game, then switch you to her character out of nowhere. As I said earlier, you have the same hatred for Abby that Ellie does. You have the same goal to take your vengeance, and you have this goal for half the game. Switching to the character we were chasing and experiencing her story doesn't erase all of the emotions I felt up until that point. I could understand Abby and her motives for the same reason I understand Ellie's, but I can't become invested in or attached to her character because of the bias I have for Joel and Ellie. That's why earlier I prefaced the setup portion of the video with explaining that I'm an OG fan of the series, because a lot of us don't like the game for this reason, among the others like bad writing and bad pacing. But for someone who hasn't played the first game and just jumped into part 2, I understand how they can find some enjoyment out of the story. As for the people that think the game is a masterpiece, send them to a sane asylum for 2-3 years and forget. If you're not attached to Joel and Ellie, you have no reason to hate Abby as much as Ellie does, which allows you to enjoy her side of the story and the overall game. But if you do hate Abby, the story is ruined for you, which is what I don't understand. They want you to hate Abby to motivate you for this quest for revenge, while simultaneously wanting you to like her character and be emotionally invested in her. But you can't have both. I think the story they were trying to tell would have been better told with a new slate of characters that you have no attachment to. In KCD1, that's why it's much easier to spare violence. You don't have an intense hatred for him because he didn't kill characters that we, the audience, were emotionally attached to, but just characters that Henry was emotionally attached to. So, when it comes time to decide how to deal with him, you're probably more willing to be forgiving, alongside with the fact that Valant's fate is sealed regardless. After everything that's been said, you might think I'm a Tilu Part 2 hater, but in all honesty, I'm not, at least not anymore. I used to hate this game, but now I just mildly dislike it. I'm very passionate about video games and storytelling, and especially storytelling within video games. And The Last of Us Part 2 elicits such a strong reaction from me, not just because I've been a fan of the first game from day one, but because the story had so much potential to be great, and it's disappointing and frustrating that it wasn't. That's why I compared KCD to this game, because it told the same story but did it in a way that made sense and was fulfilling. I don't know. This video was mostly a way for me to blurt out my feelings about these two games, but hopefully I made it make sense to you, potential viewer. Well, that's all I really have to say. To anyone who watched this, I hope you enjoyed it. Do the whole like, subscribe, and comment thing if you want to. I'm giving this YouTube thing a shot, and I already have another video planned, so if you like this one, stay tuned for the next one. I don't know when it'll be out. I'm very slow with my process, unfortunately. This one took me a month plus when it definitely shouldn't have. But anyways, thank you all for watching, and see you later.